Hi, thank you so much for watching, listening. We're continuing our series called Show and Tell. Of course, I want to invite you to subscribe. We've got great content, super helpful. You could share this with your friends. It's really engaging and thought-provoking as well as relevant to our daily living. So we're continuing our series called Show and Tell. Do you remember doing show and tell? I don't know. Back when I was in school, we had show and tell on Fridays. And so, the teacher gave 30 minutes on a Friday morning for anybody who brought something from home to show and to tell. Show whatever and to tell. And so, you'd bring, once we got a little bit older, they stopped doing that because it got kind of corny and cheesy. But initially, you're like in third grade, you're like, oh, I want to show and tell my cool little stuffed animal. I remember I had this, you're like, that is so stupid. But, when you're in third grade, it's like, wow, I had this stuffed animal that was a ladybug about this big and, about that high. And this ladybug had the mouth would open and you could put your PJs in her mouth and put her on your bed. So that was I thought that was the coolest thing. And my friends, I remember bringing my ladybug to show and tell. And my friends were like, that is so stupid, Sarah. And I was like, well... So we all have different show and tell and things that are interesting to us, but we're looking at a show and tell with Jesus in John chapter 8, verses 1 through 11. And as you look at the first couple verses, it says that Jesus is in the temple early in the morning and he's teaching. And a whole bunch of people had crowded around him. And in essence, he's the teacher, they're the students. So it's a classroom in essence, like a pop-up classroom. And the show and tell happens when the Pharisees and the scribes bring a woman who is caught in the act of adultery, and they throw her in front of Jesus and in front of all the class, in front of all the students. So it's show and tell. And they show her, here she is, and they tell she's caught in the act of adultery. And they challenge Jesus, and they say, in the law of Moses, it says that she should be stoned for breaking the law. What do you say? And this is a show and a tell, and the whole purpose for the scribes and the Pharisees is they don't give a rip about the woman. I mean, they could care less about her. If they did care about her, they would have, I think, as well brought the man, because adultery requires two, just kind of a little side educational note there. But they're challenging Jesus. And so they're trying to expose and test him and really unravel his power, authority, popularity. And I like what happens because in essence, what Jesus does is he flips it. He flips it and does a reversal. And he says in the show and tell, with the woman there in front and the whole classroom, and then the challenging Pharisees and scribes, this is his response. It says they're all yelling at Jesus and accusing, and what are you gonna do? The lost, they're very vitriolic. And Jesus doesn't do anything. Except, it says he bends over and he takes his finger and begins to write in the dirt. And, theologians, pastors, teachers, Bible teachers throughout all of history, they want to know, what did Jesus write? And there's all kinds of speculation, which is what it is, speculation. Nobody knows because the Bible doesn't tell us. So you can speculate whatever you want, but if the Bible doesn't tell you, the end of the story is you don't know. Full stop. So we don't know what he wrote. And it's interesting because in the midst of this high octane, super intense moment, I mean, it is hardcore, charged, conflict, tension, intense, combative, hostile, accusatory. I mean, we got these Pharisees and scribes, and you have the audience, it's the students who are watching, and you're like, ooh, what's going to happen? I mean, this is a very, very heated potential, very, very dangerous. For the woman, it's dangerous. She could easily have been completely thrown out and killed that exact day. I mean, probably within an hour, 2 hours of the whole accusation and judgment. But I like what Jesus does, because when we get in these heated situations and the accusers, remember the devil is always accusing. Satan is the accuser of the brethren. And sometimes Satan works through people. Hello? I know that to be true. I know for myself, Satan has worked through me to accuse people, to be judgmental and critical and hostile and condemning. I say that for myself because it's possible that might be true for you as well. But maybe you've been on the other side of it. Maybe Satan has accused you and condemned you and judged you. And let's not get our eyes on the people. It's Satan who does this stuff. Satan can work through people. Maybe you watched all of this. But no matter who you are in this whole story, the Pharisees and scribes, maybe you're the student, maybe you're the woman or the man in adultery. I think it's what is most important is to watch Jesus. And what Jesus does, this is my show and tell today, is he pauses. He gives a little bit of time. Tick tock, tick tock. He bends over, and in this very heated exchange, they're demanding an answer. And they're very, very aggressive and assertive and pushing Jesus. I like what he does. He pauses, he bends over, and he writes in the dirt. And I think sometimes it's very important for us to take a few moments and pause. If you're in a very heated season in your life, I've had some days and some recent experiences that were just super intense. And this whole idea of pause is extremely helpful. And sometimes people say, well, you're procrastinating or you're denying or you're ignoring. There can be some truth to that, no doubt. But I think when I keep my eyes on Jesus, when I pause and I watch Jesus, I think Jesus can diffuse, especially when we give Jesus time and we keep our focus on Jesus. If we look at the people, if we look at the accusers, if we look at this, whatever, but if we keep our eyes on Jesus and give Jesus some time, then some good things can come out of it. Because as Jesus wrote in the dirt with his finger, they kept accusing the woman and they kept saying to Jesus, what's your answer? What's your answer? What's your answer? And after some time, Jesus stands up and he says to all of the Pharisees and scribes, hey, all of y'all without sin, whoever is without sin, you throw the first stone. And then Jesus goes back and starts to write in the dirt. And a lot of times we want an instant answer, we want a quick solution, we want an easy fix. But what we really need is a little bit of Jesus and a little bit of time. Because I think Jesus and time in our lives, in our situations, in intense exchanges and heated uncertainties, Jesus and time can be tremendously redeeming, constructive, helpful, and life-affirming. So the second time, Jesus bends over and writes in the dirt after he said, you who are without sin, throw the first stone. He keeps writing. And as he's writing in the dirt, it says they began to leave. The Pharisees and the scribes began to leave one by one, starting with the oldest, until there was nobody left. Nobody was left. And Jesus says to the woman, where are those who condemn you? And you're like, what does she say? Well, that's what we're going to answer in our next episode. So this is a little bit of a cliffhanger. Got to have a little bit of time in between. So you want to make sure and listen to the next episode. You're like, that's so rude. I know, but it's a little fun too. So thank you for subscribing. Make sure you hit the notification bell right there. And I asked this question for you to answer. This is a simple question, but answer this easily. Do you like to procrastinate? Are you a procrastinator? Just be honest. And I'm not asking to be like condemning or accusatory, because I'm good at procrastinating, and sometimes that's helpful. Puts a lot of pressure on me to be productive. And sometimes it's not just like, but are you a procrastinator? Do you like to procrastinate? And that's a simple little question, easy to answer. Here is your question, which I think you're going to really, really like. What does a clock do when it's hungry? You're like, I know, right? It's like that all ties together. What does a clock do when it's hungry? It comes back 4 seconds. I know, right? But next week will be way better. Thanks again.